What's up, guys? Jordan McAbee here, fantasyracingonline.com, home of the Slingshot Fantasy Auto Contest. Today we're going to talk about Kansas in the Buschy McBusch Race 400. Kansas coming up, race number 11 of the 2011 NASCAR Cup Series season. Starting lineup's a little wacky due to Talladega and how the qualifying formula plays out. We got Keselowski and Byron starting on the front row, and then we got McDowell, Kevin Harvick, Matt DiBenedetto rounding out the top five. Austin Dillon, Blaney, Christopher Bell, Kyle Busch, and Cole Custer all starting top 10. For most fantasy games, and especially the Slingshot Fantasy Auto Contest, place differential is a huge factor in scoring, as you should probably know by now. So this week we have guys like Kyle Larson starting 32nd, Joey Logano starting 29th, Kurt Busch starting 28th, Eric Jones 27th, Alex Bowman 25th. Notably, Denny Hamlin starting 20th, Chase Elliott 17th, Martin Truex Jr. 15th. And then if that wasn't enough place differential chalk, Penske decided to throw in Austin Cindric this week also, which puts him starting 38th. So it's going to be some very interesting scoring in the Slingshot game this week. What this does is it kind of limits it doesn't limit who you can pick, obviously. You can pick whoever the hell you want. But it limits the best options, I'd say. So it really narrows down the player pool, in my opinion, and how I look at this race. And now you just got to find the best combination and the one that you think is going to work the best out of a smaller pool than normal. That's all that really does, in my opinion. Let's take a look at my algorithm predicted finishing order. So it's got Keselowski winning, Denny Hamlin second. Denny Hamlin has won 2 of the last 3 Kansas races and was a contender here in last fall as well. The one that he didn't win over the last 3 races. Just to note, Martin Truex Jr. projected to finish 3rd, rounding out the top 5, Ryan Blaney, and then Kyle Busch. A bit of a surprise for me that the algorithm likes Kyle Busch as much as it does. But one thing you can see here, so looking at 6th through 11th, it's separated in the power index over here, this 3rd column, by 2 points. 8th through 11th, it's separated by less than half a point. So you can really throw a blanket over all these guys and interchange them. They're all just that close, according to the algorithm and its predicted finishing order. But yeah, so projected Chase Elliott 6th, Harvick 7th, Logano 8th, William Byron 9th, and Kyle Larson 10th. So looking into Kansas, it's a 1.5 mile track. It's a low wear 1.5 mile track. So, similar tracks would include Charlotte, Texas, Las Vegas that we raced at earlier this year. Tracks like that. I can't think of them off the top of my head. It's a little early right now. But there was also, so we have the Las Vegas race earlier this year that we're going to look at the data from. Kyle Larson won that one. And then we also have Homestead this year, which was another 1.5 miles. I wouldn't put too much stock into Homestead just because that's a high wear track, different track, relies much more on drivers saving their tires and holding that speed over a run. Whereas Kansas, as we saw last fall, is more track position under this package. This Kansas race last fall was the one that Joey Logano got ahead of Kevin Harvick at the end of the race after a good pit stop, and then won the race because Harvick simply couldn't pass with this package, even though Harvick likely had the better car. And that's just what happens at Kansas. Now, with that being said, though, I have hope that that's not going to happen, or that it's not going to happen as much this year, especially looking back at the Las Vegas race earlier this year. If you look at that race, there was some great racing. I think I tweeted it out, 3 or 4 times, like, impressed how good the racing was at Las Vegas this year. If we have another race like that, we can see we saw passes for the lead at Vegas. We saw tons of passing, great racing. I thought it was the best mile-and-a-half track race that we've seen in a long time. Vegas earlier this year. So hopefully we get another one like that this weekend. Let's go ahead and look at those Vegas stats. Now, it's noteworthy. The Vegas race this year was in March, so basically 2 months have passed since that last race. So a little different in the season, but we know who was fast. Kyle Larson, of course, won that race, had the best average running position. Keselowski, Hamlin, Blaney, Byron, top 5 in running position. Truex, Bell, Bowman, Logano, and Benedetto. If you remember back in this race, both Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman had issues. Alex Bowman especially, he had an issue late. Finished 27th, but had at least, probably like a 7th or 8th place car. Looking at green flag speed from this race, Larson, Keselowski, Blaney, top 3, Hamlin, Byron, same guys. Alex Bowman, they're 6th in green flag speed. And then Truex, a little bit of a struggling race for Truex, 7th in green flag speed, didn't have the greatest running position, still finished 6th. And then Bell, Kyle Busch, and Chase Elliott. Kyle Busch finished 3rd, which is pretty noteworthy. Now, if we'll take a look here quick at Homestead. Like I said, I'm not putting a ton of stock in Homestead. I'll look at it, I'll consider it, but it's not the. It's pretty much a totally different track than Kansas, despite being the same length. Byron had the best average running position, dominated a good portion of that race and won it. Kyle Larson finished 4th, had the second best average running position. Truex, Kurt Busch, Keselowski, all good. Again, Bowman up there. And then green flag speed at Homestead. Now, this gets really skewed with new tires. So Kurt Busch, if you remember back to that race, he had a late pit stop, which allowed him to hit. The tires are so important at Homestead. He had to pit, I think, during green flag, got lapped, got new tires, got unlapped himself, and still ran back up to 8th to finish. I don't know if he lapped and unlapped himself, but he definitely, pitted and still ended up top 10 because of those new tires. We're not, like I said, we're not going to see that at Kansas, so it's not. Don't. You get what I'm saying. So we'll go into making picks for the Slingshot game. Obviously, all the guys, the top 5 priced guys this week are all great options in this game. Obviously, you can't fit all 5 of them, but you can fit 2 or 3 into a solid lineup. And then it just comes down to, like I said, putting the right ones together and getting the most points. Larson, obviously, the best option as far as place differential. He starts back in 32nd. Logano, next best, 29th. And then Hamlin, who, despite he scored negative something points here last week at Talladega, despite that, he's still averaging over 100 Slingshot points this season through 10 races. Just having an incredible year, and now he's starting 20th, and he should put up monster score again. In my opinion, I think Hamlin is a must pick this week in this game. Obviously, you can make the argument for saving a little bit of cap space and going with Truex, Elliott, Larson, or Logano. But I definitely think Hamlin is going to be the highest scoring driver in this contest this weekend, even if he doesn't win, just because of the place differential. And, these guys are definitely going to get, I don't see why they wouldn't be contending for stage points, despite starting, mid-pack or worse, just because we got the competition caution in there. And, starting far back in a field really doesn't matter. We've seen it time and time again. We see it all the time, guys that fail inspection and have to start at the rear, they're in the top 10 almost, definitely before the stage ends. So not a big issue. So let's make some lineups here. So like I said, I think Hamlin's going to be the highest scoring driver this week. Let's throw Larson in there, starting 32nd. He won it. Like I said, he won at Las Vegas, which is the other low wear mile-and-a-half track. You look at his stats here at Kansas while he was with Chip Ganassi, 8th, 3rd, 4th, 6th, and then a couple duds here. But still, he led this race. I forget what happened. I haven't went back and watched the older Kansas races yet, but definitely, it should be at least top 10. The only thing you have to worry about with Larson this week is his momentum. If you believe that affects a driver, Kyle Larson definitely doesn't have that on his side right now. Finished 5th at Martinsville, but 18th at Richmond. I don't know what the hell happened there. And then Talladega, again, I go awful luck. And then he wrecked at Bristol Dirt. So not the greatest April by any means for Kyle Larson. Plus end of March there. But we all know what he's capable of. And starting 32nd, that's a potential for a monster score. Monster score. I always love Alex Bowman. Starting 25th. I talk about Alex Bowman almost every week. One of my favorite fantasy drivers overall. You look at his record here at Kansas: 3rd, 8th, 11th, 2nd, 9th in the last 5 here. So definitely, if you want to get off going 3 huge high-priced drivers up here and being forced to take someone like Quinn Houff or something like that, Bowman's an option here at 10-8. That's a huge potential for a big score there. So let's throw him on there. We got 14,200 left with the salary cap. Austin Cindric, pretty much the safest option you have this week. We're still waiting for him to actually put up a big score. Cindric, he's disappointed each time that it's always been the chalk pick, but he's never put up a massive score. He's put up respectable numbers. 28th at Richmond, I think he had a problem late. 22nd at Atlanta and 15th at Daytona. That's still going to be a good score for him in any place differential game, but definitely not, like the max. So let's throw Cindric on there. It leaves us 5,800. I don't love that with this lineup. So what? I just don't. I'd almost rather, go with. Because even going Stenhouse here, you're not going to be able to get up to go to Justin Haley. Eric Jones is an interesting option this week. It allows you to jump up and grab Haley, which again I don't love, but it's probably better. So Eric Jones, he was in the 20 for Joe Gibbs Racing. Obviously, he's not in that same equipment, but it's noteworthy. Top 7 in 5 of the last 6 races here at Kansas. And then you look at, if we go back and look at Las Vegas, finished 10th. That's definitely, if he can pull that off again, that'll be. Where did he start in that race? Started 29th in that race, so started the same position and finished 10th. Definitely an option this week. Jumping down here to grab Eric Jones. But what I'd probably do, if stuck on Larson, there's just, there's nothing really down here that's appealing. So I'd probably, bite the bullet and go with a Justin Haley or a Corey LaJoy, or, even if you want to take one of these back markers and just, hope there's a couple wrecks and they move up a few spots. That's what I'd probably do going with a lineup like this. If you went Logano instead of Hamlin, leaves you 6,900. Nice. So we're, like, these starting positions are just not great for, you look at this section here under Jones and Benedetto. So under 8K in the Slingshot game this week, and there's nobody starting worse. Ross Chastain is starting the worst out of 20, and he's starting 24th. Until you get down to these, Corey LaJoy and Justin Haley. So there's nobody good in this range to really target. Now, if you wanted to get off of Bowman, I could see doing that. Going with, let's put Hamlin back on there. Throw, Hamlin, Larson, Cindric, Jones. That leaves you enough money for Stenhouse. You could put that lineup together. You could also do... what if we went like a really central lineup here and went if you did a Larson, Bowman, Kurt Busch, Cindric, Jones, don't hate that by any means. You could also jump up to grab Stenhouse. So you got Larson, Bowman, Kurt Busch, Cindric, Stenhouse. Definitely an option there. That's going more for, I really think, though, like I said, it's hard not to pick Denny Hamlin starting 20th in the Slingshot game where place differential is so important. Definitely a top-tier option. If you didn't want to go Kurt Busch, where did he finish? He finished 19th at Las Vegas. I think he had a problem. Definitely better than 13th in average running position and 13th in green flag speed. So yeah, I don't remember what happened in that race to him, but here at Kansas, Kurt has finished top 10 3 of the last 4. I just don't really like how that team's performing right now. But if you still gotta. Pricing is pretty tough when you want to get a lineup like that. A more central lineup. So if you did, Hamlin, grab Logano at 12,000, Alex Bowman. Is it possible to grab an out? Yeah, you could. Again, that gets you Haley. So Hamlin, Logano, Bowman, Cindric, Haley. If you didn't want to do Bowman and you still wanted to go up here and grab like a Kyle Larson, can't do that. Nope. What if you did? Truex sitting here in 15th is still a good option. And even Chase Elliott. So that's one thing. We didn't actually look at Kansas stats. My bad. Last 4 years. So looking over the last 2 years, last 4 races at Kansas. Alex Bowman, Chase Elliott, the best average finishes. And then Keselowski, Harvick, Hamlin. Going by average running position, again, we got Chase Elliott first, Harvick, Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin. And then green flag speed. Larson, he only has those 2 races, so he could definitely have the best green flag speed this week again. But Logano actually number 1 in green flag speed. And then Harvick, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 3rd or 4th, however you're looking at this. And then Kyle Busch. So some notable numbers there. Now, if we grabbed Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, if you go Austin Cindric, you could get BJ McLeod. Starts a little bit too high, I think, for me. I'd probably, as much as I hate it, I'd probably go Quinn Houff if you're digging down that deep, I'd probably go Half over, or however the hell you pronounce that. The guy that shouldn't be on the damn track. Um, 33rd at Vegas, 33rd at Atlanta. That's not we didn't talk about Atlanta. It's the same. Like I said, it's early. Ooh, I don't know. I forget. I don't know how I missed that one. But Half should finish, 33rd or so, 33rd to 35th. With him starting 34th, he's not going to lose points based on place differential. Whereas McLeod, yes, he has top 30 potential. He actually, he finishes like 32nd or 30th every race. He finished 30th at Vegas. Yeah, you can see the numbers here. Average finish this year, 29.6. But, it's a toss-up. They'll probably score similarly. A little bit more risky with McLeod starting 30th, but if you did want to go with 3 of the 12,000 plus studs, this is definitely an option. Then there's, so if you go Elliott, Larson, Logano, Jones, you could get Matt Mills. Don't know what to expect out of him this week. He's in a second BJ McLeod car, so he could definitely finish, If it's a car like McLeod has, he could finish top 30, but this is his first Cup Series start, I believe. Starting dead last, so excuse me, he can't score negative points in this game. So definitely an option if you want to dig down to the back markers and the guys that aren't going to do much, but as long as they finish, if a couple guys have issues, they can move up. Definitely an option this week, I think, especially with how the pricing with these place differential drivers, trying to fit 3 of them into a lineup, you're going to need to dig down there, and Mills could be an option this week, even though we have nothing to really go off with him. Let's put a lineup. I want to see where we can get. I think this is. I probably wouldn't go under Jones. Maybe Chastain, but his like potential highest finish is probably like 15th. So I just don't love that. But I'd love to get Hamlin or Truex, but Elliott, like, we're all still waiting for Elliott to have his good race, his breakout race this year. Could it be this weekend? Absolutely. But it's weird that team isn't. They haven't shown, in my opinion, race winning potential at all, except for the Daytona Road Course. Obviously that's a little different because Chase Elliott is so good at road courses. But noteworthy here, 22 laps led at Las Vegas. I'm not saying. I just don't think Chase Elliott is to his full potential right now, and starting 17th compared to Hamlin starting 20th, definitely it's hard to see Elliott being the top scorer or like. I think Elliott's going to be one of the top 5, top 8 scorers in Slingshot this week. I just don't see him putting up. He doesn't have the potential to put up a massive score like Denny Hamlin does, or Joey Logano, or Truex. But this lineup I don't hate. I also, Alex Bowman's a great option there at 10,800, and of course Kurt Busch. I like Alex Bowman more than Kurt Busch, but definitely both place differential options and finishing options. So good luck to everyone this weekend. We go from super unpredictable to a Kansas race that we know who the fast cars are at mile and a halfs, but again, it's all about track position. So there's a little bit of unpredictability there, with these low wear mile and a halfs, as we've seen over the last 2 years. But good luck. Hope we all have big scores. Yeah, and that's it. We got Darlington next week. See ya.